Welcome back. You're watching Review with Renee
and Hubbay.
Today we're talking about a Tubi movie, child, Gumbo. Let us give y'all the summary. The main character is Gumbo, and he's like this drug kingpin, and he's dating a woman named Leah,
who's a cop. And even though she's a cop, she really tries to look out for Gumbo more than really does her job in the movie.
Yeah, because that's her man. So really, her whole purpose of working is to protect him, give him intel from the inside. And while she's doing that job, she discovers that a new detective has his eyes on Gumbo as his next big catch. So Gumbo and his gang, with this intel, they're handling their business. They're cleaning up house in order to get the cops off of them and to get the snitches out of their crew. This movie was real short, only like an hour.
Yeah, and you can really end up feeling the runtime because, towards the end of it, it wraps up pretty quick, honestly.
What was the ending?
Right, so at the end, they end up making a deal with the cop, the detective that's been trying to catch Gumbo, and it's actually the girlfriend's idea, I think, just offer him some cash to go away, and he takes it and he goes away, and then they find out that one of the members of Gumbo's gang, his supposed best friend Red Beans, snitched on him.
Yeah, Red Beans. The names of the characters were so funny. So the main ones were Gumbo, Red Beans, and No Love.
Yeah.
And No Love, even though he wasn't Gumbo's best friend at first, eventually he grew into that because he was the one taking care of business, if you know what I mean. Like, he was showing up. He was peeling them.
I feel like out of everyone in the whole gang, he was like the most gangster of them all.
You don't think Gumbo was gangster?
Yeah, I guess.
I think he was gangster. He just wasn't getting his hands dirty. He was still the mastermind, though. Bringing people in, determining who could be in the crew or not, and telling them where to move shipments and stuff.
True.
Put it like this, he's the gangster manager. He doesn't get his hands dirty doing the work, but he has the vision.
That is true. And there is a whole rant that he goes on to Red Beans talking about how, he built this brick by brick. He put down the foundation for this whole empire and so on. And it's like, okay, so yeah, he was doing the work. Now he's sitting back a little, trying to do the management, like you say.
Well, he sat back so much, and I think he starts to regret being so hands-off, because by doing that, some of his crew, they end up recruiting in snitches.
Yeah, that is true.
What was the snitch's name?
Hot Sauce.
Yeah, Hot Sauce!
That's another one. It's Gumbo, Hot Sauce, Red Beans, No Love.
Make me hungry, chef.
But yeah, I feel like the best actor of the whole movie was probably the girlfriend. What was her name? Aaliyah?
Yeah, I think it's Aaliyah. And unfortunately, the real actress, she passed away. Rest in peace to her. But her acting was phenomenal. There was one scene where, when Hot Sauce passed away, and the detective that was chasing after Gumbo walks up, she genuinely looks so surprised to see him there. She has, A-class acting skills. Even during her monologues with Gumbo, and they're going back and forth, and she tells him, I want you to give this up. You can see the pain in her face, the pain in her eyes of her pleading. She's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good emotionality there. You can tell, she's really cares about Gumbo. She wants him to be safe and everything, and like you're saying, she's crying, you need to either get out of this or find some other way to, do what you're doing, because you're going to end up either in jail or dead. That's what she says, straight up.
Mm-hmm. I feel like her character also has the most depth out of all of them. She's living this double life, kind of, because she's working as a cop, but she's also, Gumbo, the drug pin's wife, girlfriend. And so there's a lot of mixed emotions there. She's good at her job, but she also loves this man who really is the opposite of her. Whereas with Gumbo, he's so one-dimensional. Same with the other characters. They're just like, I'm gangster. I'm tough.
Basically, I mean, yeah. Gumbo doesn't really go through much of a story arc. Like, he starts off, he's this drug kingpin, he's this mastermind that's, running this whole empire, and he just kind of stays there. At the end of the movie, he's still this drug kingpin, he's still in charge of things, and it's like, okay, he doesn't really, there's no change or any growth for his character. But you can tell right at the beginning of the movie for the girlfriend, Aaliyah, she's like, oh, she's mad at Gumbo because he's leaving, and you can tell she wants him to be safe. She wants to protect him because she ends up following him and looking out for him, saying, oh, hey, you've got someone following you, you've got someone watching you now. You should be watching yourself. You watch your back. And it's like you can tell she's got his back. And then eventually, right, when they end up meeting again, she's all upset because it's like, oh yeah, you can keep doing this, but it's not going to end well for you. And Gumbo's just, oh, it's either I go to jail or I die, but I'm not going to do that, so I have a third path.
So who do you think is the main character then, Gumbo or Aaliyah?
I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, honestly, we might get more scenes. It might be even screen time between Aaliyah and Gumbo. It might be that Aaliyah is really the secret main character. Because it's like the movie's named Gumbo, so you'd think Gumbo would be the main character. But we don't actually get a whole lot of him, right?
Yeah, he's so one-dimensional. To me, main characters are never one-dimensional.
Right. Yeah, they never should be, at least. But, I mean, Gumbo does, like, the narration, right? Like, he has a lot of kind of voiceover stuff where he's talking, like, at the beginning, he's like, a wise man once told me, and so on and so on. So it's like, it seems like we're getting into his thoughts and his ideas more.
But if Aaliyah is really the main character, it makes sense for it to be that way, because her whole life at the moment is kind of revolving around him. He's the reason she's even working that police person job. So, of course, in my head, he would be the main voice. That's who really the center of her world is, Gumbo.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, and so we've kind of gotten what we feel like are the main characters, or like the two main characters kind of down. Let's talk a little bit about the side characters, like Red Beans, right?
Yeah, even though Red Beans is Gumbo's best friend, we don't get a lot of scenes with him. The main one is really the argument they have in the kitchen where Red Beans is telling him, you too cocky, you think you better than us.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at the beginning of the movie, like during that kind of opening and the monologue that the Gumbo has, it's like there's a lot of talk about, oh, my main man, my best friend, Red Beans. He's the one that has my back. I have his back, that kind of stuff. And it's like throughout the movie, it's really just a lot of tell, not show. Because it's like, yeah, they say that, but Red Beans' interactions with Gumbo, like for most of the movie, are pretty like adversarial. Like it's a lot of, like you said, Gumbo's upset at, or Red Beans is upset at Gumbo. And he's like, yeah, you need to relieve some stress. You taking it out on all of us. Oh, you just trying to be, get all the power, and that's not leadership. And so he's just criticizing him, talking a lot of trash to him. And it's like, okay, is this really your best friend? Like, is this really the person that has your back?
I think this was a smart decision on the filmmaker's part, because it seems like Red Beans and Gumbo were really close friends when they were younger. But now they're kind of at that point where, yeah, they still have the label of best friends, but you see them during the film slowly growing apart. To the point where Red Beans even ends up snitching on Gumbo to the cops.
Right, and see that I guess they were trying to build up like, oh, Red Beans isn't satisfied with Gumbo's leadership. He maybe thinks that he shouldn't be, that maybe he should be in charge. And I guess they kind of, that's like the point where, okay, he ends up talking to the cop and flipping and saying, okay, well, it was Gumbo that it was in charge of that, murder that killed Hot Sauce and all that. But it's like the way that it's presented just kind of feels like, okay, he was like being real nasty to the cop at first and being like, well, no, I'm not going to talk. And he ends up just talking, and it's like, okay, so like what was the trigger point there? Like what was the point that he actually decided to flip? And I guess the setup was, okay, well, he's mad at Gumbo. He doesn't think he's a good leader, and that's why he wants to flip. But
I don't think he wanted to flip. I think he just cracked under pressure. Some people aren't meant for the gangster life, you know? As soon as the detective started saying, oh, we're going to get you 50 years, that's when he cracked. And I think it was so easy for him to crack because his relationship with Gumbo was already on its last leg. They were still calling each other best friends, but Red Beans made it clear in that kitchen that he felt like he wasn't being appreciated by Gumbo.
I guess to kind of contrast Red Beans, but they have a scene too where the police got no love, and they're interrogating him, trying to get him to talk, and he's just like, no, I'm not talking. Where's my lawyer? Well,
No Love is a real gangster, that's why.
Exactly, right? Like he's much more of a gangster than Red Beans, and it's like you're saying, I guess Red Beans just isn't cut out for that kind of life.
And as people grow over time, that's natural. Who you were friends with as a child, you're not going to be friends with as an adult. Especially in terms of business, you may be friends with someone outside of that business. But when you're working and you're serious about your hustle like Gumbo was, you need dogs like No Love. No Love was a dog. Oh my gosh. The end, No Love ended up killing Red Beans. And the scene where No Love killed Hot Sauce, No Love was just killing everybody. It was so hilarious. I love the effects in this movie. It looks like they just put ketchup on the actors' shirts whenever they got shot. And the gunfire looked like the star from Mario Kart.
Yeah, no, you could definitely tell they were making this movie on a budget, and it's like altogether it's not a terrible movie, but it's just kind of stuff happens. Like it just kind of goes from scene to scene to scene, and there's not really like a whole... Like, there's a plot you can follow, more or less, but it's also just like you can kind of take these scenes out of context and move them around a little bit, and I feel like there's not a lot that would have changed, you know?
Well, that's how it is with most movies, though. I like this movie. I especially like the filming style. I like how bright the colors are. I like that they filmed a lot outside. And I feel like it had a clear plot.
Really?
Yeah, because the plot is basically a police officer. She's in love with this drug kingpin, and she's working from the inside to make sure he's protected. She discovers that one of the new detectives on her squad is going after her man, and so she passes on this information, and then the drug pin, Gumbo, works with his squad, mostly No Love, to eliminate the people that are coming after his empire, including his previous best friend, Red Beans. That's how I see this movie.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good description of it. I just feel like it's hard to kind of get that description on one watch. Because it's like there's a lot of stuff that happens, but it's like it also kind of feels like not a lot happens. I guess that might be just down to the runtime. Like it's only an hour long, so they kind of have to squeeze a lot into it.
Yeah, and with movies, scenes have to be shot a certain way. With movies, think about how hard it is to film it, because you're trying to convey emotions through words, but also through the setup of the scene. And I think because this is I think his name is Don Charles, like the producer, director, creator. I think this is his first movie ever. And so I'm going to give him a pat on the back and say he did a good job with Gumbo. Even though it was only an hour, it had a clear plot to me. And there were good picks for the actors. The only thing that I wish was improved on was the audio. There were times where we couldn't hear people.
Yeah, that audio quality was like crazy. It like in the same scene, even between different characters, like you could hear one crystal clear, And the other one, it sounded like they were like talking from like 10 miles away. Like you could barely, it's like they sounded almost robotic. Like I don't know if their mic was busted or something. They didn't have enough like microphones to go around, or if they were trying to use like one just for the whole room, or what.
It sounded like they were underwater. Hey man, that's how it sounded.
Yeah, and then Gumbo would be like, yeah, that's a good point, No Love. And you could hear him fine. And then No Love would talk again and he'd be like, ruh, 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 ruh. And it's like, okay, is that his character? Is that the microphone? Like, what's happening here?
Oh, one other thing I just thought of. Candy. Candy made me uncomfortable, and I thought this was an unnecessary way to introduce nudeness in the film. They just wanted a naked woman in there. Candy is one of the gang members' friend, old girl from around the way, and they hired her to just be in the trap house walking around naked. And in the film, you see her chest, you see her behind, and it's just unnecessary nudeness.
Yeah, that felt a little gratuitous. Like, okay, like, it was just there just to be there, really.
Mm-hmm. Like, okay, we get it. You have this film with gangsters and you want to get more eyes, so you feel like you need to include a naked woman. It was just distasteful, tasteless.
Yeah, it just felt unnecessary. Because, like, there's movies where, you know, for artistic purposes and whatnot, and it's like, okay, they have a justification for whatever kind of nudity or, you know, sexual themes. But it's like, this was just kind of, I guess they were trying to be, true to life or whatever, because in real trap houses, I guess they have this kind of setup, but it's like, you didn't really need it.
Babe, what you know about being in a trap house? I don't think trap houses have that.
I don't know, I'm just saying. I have no idea, but...
I have no idea either, but I don't think there's just naked women walking around no trap house, huh? Y'all, in the comments, let us know. In the comments, let us know if there's just naked women walking around the trap house. We don't know. But yeah, overall, I like this movie and I will watch it again for sure. I love the plot of it. And Leah, the actor, really drew me in. So did the funny names and the filming style of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it's, you know, it's a good way to kill time. And we're going to talk about this next too, but I feel like the sequel would have benefited more if it had just kind of been added on to the end of this movie. Like, I feel like this is a little bit of a spoiler, but like, I feel like everything makes more sense if it was one big movie instead of two separate movies. And y'all will understand this later once we get on to that next movie.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, so y'all, we definitely have to review Gumbo 2 now. If y'all end up watching this movie, let us know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching Review with Renee
and Hubbay.
Bye, y'all.